A quick question, if your boss asked you right now, why should I consider you for that position? Why you specifically? Could you answer in 30 seconds without shrinking, without, oversharing, without even going blank? If you've just answered yes, then it's okay. You can safely log out of this video. But if this question has stopped you in your tracks, then please stay with me. In this video, I'm going to share with you 7 micro rituals that are going to make you effortlessly ready for promotions. And the plan here is to quietly upgrade your presence, to upgrade your visibility and make decision-making ability so promotions stop feeling random and start feeling inevitable. Hi. Welcome back to my channel, and if we are crossing paths for the very first time, my name is Nancy. I'm a workplace leadership trainer, I'm an author, and I'm also an entrepreneur. So you'll mostly find me on this platform discussing topics or matters of leadership, professional growth, career advancement, as you endeavor to protect your mental and emotional well-being. So if you're eyeing a leadership role, or if you're already in one, I believe that my content will resonate with you. Kindly consider subscribing. Press that notifications button on your screen and you're going to receive timely updates whenever I release a new video. Thank you so much for joining and growing with this community. I'm that one person who's had the privilege of taking up a leadership role early in my career, though my emotional tools were clearly wanting, and I learned through experience what it costs to lead without them. I'm talking about the heightened imposter syndrome, the heightened anxiety, the serious self-doubt. These micro rituals that I'm going to share with you today in this video, they come straight from the trenches. They're simple, they're repeatable, and proven in real teams. My own clients have used them to get seen. They've used them to get picked and even to get paid. And you can slot them into your meetings, into your emails, into your one-on-ones. I'm going to give you the why and the exact steps and even the lines that you can use verbatim. So if you're ready, let's just dive right in. Ritual number 7, credit out loud. And here you want to master building influence in real time, by strategically crediting others while tying yourself to the outcomes. There's just that awkward space where you want to praise someone, but you also don't want to disappear in the process. Think of the last time that you received what sounded like, what was supposed to sound like a compliment, but it felt insincere, more like the person was doing it because it was part of their job description, not because they wanted to do it. You want to adopt the habit of being generously specific about other people's contributions and also clearly naming the parts that you drove and then land it on a business result. That way, everyone's contribution is genuinely covered. For example, in the middle of a meeting, just drop in a line like, that insight came from Joanna's test run, and I have folded the results into version 2, which is literally removing one approval step for us, and we get to keep the delivery date. Simply put, Joanna is seen for her insight, you're seen for compiling the results, and you're all staring at an outcome that matters to the business. This is natural, it feels natural, it's respectful, and it quietly positions you as the purpose-turning great input into forward motion. And then when it comes to asynchronous updates, just try keeping it short and human, like we landed 18% above target, and Anna's analysis on pricing unlocked the path. I refactored the bundle logic and it saved us, 2 weeks before closing time. That's a single sentence that just tells your manager that you're a team player. You own your wins and you deliver measurable impact. And also keep in mind that body language matters. So instead of phrases like, I just wanted to say, try quick credit, get straight to the point. Replace phrases like, I helped a bit with, which actually sounds like false humility, with I led the decision on A, B, and C. You're not bragging, you're being accurate. And if you ever feel like you're taking too much space, consciously check yourself by adding one clause, like this was a team win. My lever was X. People who elevate others get elevated. So that single phrase, my lever, it gives you permission to take your seat at the table without downplaying other people's contribution. And the biggest traps also that you want to look out for would be being vague, like shout out to my team. This sounds nice, but it helps no one. So normalize naming 1 or 2 people and their specific contribution, and then add your lever, what you decided, what you designed, or what you drove, and anchor it to a number or a date. So before your next meeting, you want to note down who you'll credit and what you contribute or what you'll contribute, and the outcome that you are aiming to land, and then say the line once, clean and warm. After the meeting, just send one short message that names the results and keeps the paper trail for your review. This brings us to ritual number 6, the outcome one liner. When entering any meeting or the first chance that you get to speak, you want to set the destination before the details. You want to get comfortable framing conversations. And I'm saying this, even if you're not the host, you can still set the destination in one line. That moment when a meeting starts and it's already drifting in many different directions. People are sharing updates, and 10 minutes in, you're still wondering, wait, what are we actually deciding? Because people are going in tangents. Leaders don't wait for clarity, they create it. So to practice, try something like, ideally right after introductions or the first pause, and in a very friendly and patronizing tone, like, for clarity, the outcome I'm driving is a simple go or no go on X, so that we can lock resourcing by Friday. So in one sentence, you've told your people where you're heading, go or no go, why it matters, resourcing, by when, Friday. And if you're not the host, you can actually soften your entry along the lines of building on what Rose has just said. For clarity, the outcome that I'm driving at is, alignment on the 3 hiring criteria, so we can move to interviews by the 20th. It's respectful, it's directive, and you're not hijacking, you're guiding. And the beauty here is, once the destination is spoken, the room naturally orients around it. People are going to answer more succinctly. The side stories are going to fade, and you're going to buy back time. And executives especially, they relax when someone names the finish line. It signals to them, I value your time, I know what matters, and I'm here to move us forward. Then if the conversation starts to wander, and it will, you don't scold, you steer, say something along the lines of, this is useful context, but to land our outcome today, can we park along the long-term roadmap and finish the risk check first? You're honoring the person who spoke, and you're still protecting the destination. And then for sensitive or very sensitive topics where you're worried about stepping on other people's toes, try shrinking the claim, not the clarity. Like, just to make sure we finish strong today, the outcome I'm aiming for is this, is a short list of 2 front office personnel, for example, in finance, so that we can start the numbers by Thursday. Here, you did not say the outcome. You actually said the outcome you were aiming for. It's collaborative without losing direction. And what if someone pushes back? You may be asking yourself that. This is where you keep it open-handed. I'd be happy to adjust if there's a higher value outcome for today. Let's name it now so that we can aim together. And here, you're inviting leadership from the group while still insisting that we pick a destination. And the more you practice this, the more natural it's going to feel. One line, warm tone, clear finish line. So say it once, early if you can, and watch the energy of the meeting just change. You'll see fewer, you'll experience fewer tangents, faster decisions, and your name will be quietly associated with progress. Ritual number 5, the 3-line priority pitch. Here, you're aiming at creating visibility, but from a low maintenance standpoint. Leaders relax around people who create, signal and reduce thinking tax. Just think of it as this calm daily or, every other day tap on your manager's shoulder, that says, I'm focused, I'm moving the ball, and I'm going to tell you if and when you need to step in. So instead of broadcasting yourself like, oh, look at me, look at everything that I'm doing, look at all this contribution I'm bringing on the table, you're actually giving your manager a tiny control panel, and you're indicating what you're doing, what could slow things down, and how they can step in should the need arise. So pick a consistent time that catches them before they get started with the activities of the day. Early morning or just before lunch, works great. Then if your team is global, aim to hit their morning window, even if that is afternoon where you're stationed, Daily is preferable. Every other day is fine. If your work cycles are longer, just keep it consistent. And then when you're sending the email, the group message, the thread, aim for 3 lines and in plain language, like line 1 with, focus for today, ABC. And then on line 2, state the blocker in one sentence also, with your proposed fix, like in case of database delay, I'm going to use last week's slides to model options. And then for line 3, state clearly why it matters, like this week or this quarter. And whenever something slips on your watch, you want to own it and show a plan out. And equally, when you have a quick win, share the lift, not the victory dance. Something like, focus, debrief on the A/B test is a win. Blocker, none. And as far as impact is concerned, we had 9% more signups. Just always remember to keep it friendly but very professional. And you do this by keeping each line to one sentence and then lead with the outcomes, not activity, designed ready by Friday. And then always propose your fix with the blocker, like if you don't have one just yet, give a time that you're going to circle back, something along the lines of get back to you at 2 p.m. with options. And yes, if priorities change, show that you can pivot without drama. If you prefer B over D, I'm going to reshuffle and confirm by 4 p.m. And here, you're not asking for permission. You're actually signaling leadership, and you're framing the work, you preempt the potholes, and you connect your actions to business impact. That's visibility without noise. This brings us to ritual number 4, the verb snap. This is a tiny language upgrade that turns a wobbly or shaky opener into a decisive one. Just think of those moments, the first 5 to 10 seconds that you unmute yourself to speak, but you sound unsure and a bit uncomfortable. Your words have lots of maybes, I think, kinda, and you have a passive voice. You have a question, that question mark energy, or even apologizing before you've said anything. That's a wobbly opener. People are left waiting to find your point. For example, I think we could go with option B, and people are wondering, is that a question? Is it up for discussion? Is it a decision that you've already made? A decisive opener is going to give one clear recommendation or outcome stated as a fact you're willing to stand behind, and it's delivered with that calm confidence. For example, instead of the above phrase, you could actually go for, I recommend option B so that we keep the customer date. And here, you've swapped the head for a leader verb, and now it sounds cleaner. You're telling the room that I've thought this through and I'm here to move us all forward. Another swap for a leader verb or a leader move would be replacing can we try with, well, we are going to test X today, and if it fails, we are going to shift to Y. So when making the tiny upgrade, consider putting the outcome first also. You want to lead with what you're driving, what you are getting at, and then add the why, like we've seen in the previous examples. I recommend option 2 so that we hit the customer date. Right before you speak, you want to do that 5-second tidy up in your head. And this is where you delete the just, the maybes, the I thinks, the kindas, and then pick one strong, like I recommend, I propose, I aim, and then move your outcome to the front of the sentence. And you also want to tack on a short so close, for impact, like so we can, and then end on a full stop, like let your last word drop with a downward tone. No question mark or up talk. Up talk dilutes your authority. Your voice and your body language matter so much, so normalize, one breath in, pause, one heartbeat, and then speak. Your hands should be visible, your shoulders down, your eyes warm, just smiling through your eyes. And yes, when the nerves spike mid-sentence, which is actually quite normal, and it will happen, pause for one quiet breath, then pick back up with something like, let me put a clean frame on this. I recommend A, B, or C so that we can stay on date. No apologies, no backstories, just calm authority. And then get comfortable recording yourself to rate if you end your sentences with a question or a full stop. And the more you do this in the background, the better you're going to get on the forefront. This brings us to ritual number 3, the weekly sponsor ping. Mentors advise, sponsors advocate. Your mentors are there to shape your thinking. They help you to tap into, and bring your inner resources and resourcefulness to the surface. And in that way, they leave you smarter, but from your own gold field, from your own acres of diamond. A mentor's energy would go along the lines of, here's how I'd approach the politics on this project. Sponsors, on the other hand, are there to spend reputation on you so that you can live with access. They give you access. So a sponsor's energy would come along the lines of, put Nancy on that project, and if there's pushback, please send it my way or bring it to me. They speak for you, in rooms where your voice alone cannot carry the weight to push that door open. And a quick test, if you disappeared for a week, would this person notice and ask where you are? Or would this person notice and still put your name in a meeting where you're not even present? The second one is a sponsor. So before you ask for anything from a sponsor, you want to become sponsorable. I don't know if that's a word, just think credibility. You want to be able to deliver a win that ties to a metric or a date. And then think visibility, like make that win legible, like one line that anyone can repeat. And then it should be easy to back, be in a position to offer a next step that's a low risk, but with very high clarity. And you can spot a sponsor just by looking at their proximity to rooms where promotions and stretch roles are decided. And they also have this pattern of lifting others publicly. You're going to see them giving credit where it's deserved, opening doors, where people cannot do it for themselves. And bear in mind that your own mentor can actually double up or double down as a sponsor if they advocate for you in spaces where, the spaces we've discussed. So with a sponsor, you want to aim to keep the relationship light, but very professional, cadence your check-ins with them like every 2 to 4 weeks, one short touch, no essays, and then DM for small wins, email for forwardable briefs, quick Zoom for decision points, and of great importance, always credit them publicly when they help you. Something along the lines of, my appreciation goes to Joy for their air cover. It enabled me to land X on time. Sponsors need you to make it easy for them to advocate for you. And this is where those repeatable headlines that they can just quote in meetings come in handy. Or a 90-second loom, that they can just forward without editing. These are just examples. So for your weekly micro rituals, try this for 3 minutes each week. On Monday, send one sponsor signal like a proof line with a 10-minute brief offer. And then on Wednesday, ask for one specific door, either an invite or an intro or a nomination. And then on Friday, log a door that they opened and the outcome, and then thank them publicly when and where appropriate. Mentors make you better, sponsors make you bigger, and you want both. So if you're nervous about the ask, use open-handed language, like something like, if this doesn't fit your priorities now, no worries, just keeping you in the loop. Build skills with your mentors, build surface area with your sponsors, so that when the opportunities just fly by, your name is the one that comes to mind, and they say it out loud. Ritual number 2, the 3-point debrief daily. And this is where you end your day every single day with a 2-minute brag file entry. Everybody needs a brag file, that tiny daily voice of truth, just think of it as brushing your professional teeth. 2 minutes now is going to save you hours of digging later, like during the one-on-ones, the performance reviews, the salary talks. So in these 2 minutes, you capture what you moved, what you learned, and the next visible move that someone will actually see. No essays, just receipts, and there's more to this ritual than just a nice to have, memory has bias. You're going to find yourself forgetting wins from last Tuesday by next Monday. So the brag file freezes them in time, in place. And then in many cases, word of mouth alone does not hold water. Receipts reflect tangible proof, and reviews reward receipts. So another upside to this 3-point debrief is that confidence is going to compound. Just seeing daily progress is going to reduce imposter spirals, and it's going to give you a steady, calm voice in meetings. You may be asking, so how do I do it, in 2 minutes daily? For starters, you pick a home. It could be a notes app, Notion, Google Docs, or an email to yourself with a fixed subject like brag 5 2025, and then set a tiny trigger, like either when you close your laptop or after the last meeting of the day, or even during your commute, and start a 2-minute timer. Stop when it chimes. Done is better than detailed, and say it out loud as you type. Win, 1 sentence. I unblocked XYZ. Lesson, 1 sentence. Kept us under 20 minutes. Then the next visible move, 1 sentence. Send a 3-line update and decision log to my manager by 4 p.m. tomorrow. Then once you have the 3-point debrief down, consciously start turning the daily notes into weekly influence, so that the discipline becomes part of your work ethic. And the main pitfall that you want to guard against here is making the debrief too long, if you notice that it's taking more than 2 minutes, that's not a debrief, that's a report. So go back to the basics, go back to the 3 sentences. Just remember there are other variations, that you can use if you're not a typer. Just think voice notes, screenshots, calendar method, and add it to your events and event notes. Ritual number 1, the bridge builder intro. And this is where you spot a stack spot or duplicate efforts across teams. And then you connect the right people, the right brains with a clear purpose and a tiny first step. And the plan here is for you to be seen as the person who creates momentum and relationships that move the work forward, move the needle in the right direction. Leaders create leverage, so when you cut through silos and you get the right brains in the same room with a clear aim, you're slowly but naturally cementing trust in your abilities, but through other people's eyes. So for starters, pick a friction point that you've noticed, something that keeps resurfacing. It could be in the, something like in the customer handling space, and then choose the right pair to unlock it, like the decider and the doer, or 2 peers with complementary superpowers, in handling customer related situations. One may be really good at customer insight, and the other may be good at owning the process that ensures the necessary changes. Then immediately frame the purpose in one line, offering a tiny first step, and give light air cover without hovering, micromanaging. Something like, these are the top friction points. I need you to choose one to tackle, and I'd be happy to host the kickoff or step back, but it's totally your call. And if you're dealing with a sensitive or very sensitive topic, ask privately if the intro is welcome, and be very, very specific about why you picked these people and what the shared goal is. Just resist the urge to volunteer other people's time without their opt-in. Offer options instead, and then step back once they are rolling, and tell yourself that you will be solicited if there's a need to unblock something. You want to be associated with progress and calm coordination. So the litmus test that this is working is that people are going to start seeing you on cross-team items, because you make things move, you make things happen. Or you're going to start hearing phrases like, thank you so much for pulling the right people together. And you'll also notice that decisions now happen faster with fewer meetings. And done well, you will be positioning yourself as a connector and force multiplier. That person who gets the right humans in the right room, and you point them at the shared finish line, and then you let them run. If you got value from this video, I hope you did. Just kindly let me know in the comments section what spoke to you the most. And also consider subscribing and pressing that notifications button on your screen if you haven't already, to join this community. Also, feel free to share it with a friend or two who may actually benefit from this kind of content. And then take a moment to have a look at this video right here, on how to stay emotionally balanced when everything else at work is shifting. It has a few insights, on some of the micro rituals that we've just discussed in this video. Thank you so much for your company, and see you on the next one. Bye.